Welcome back to Romestead Living. Today we are going to go over the finance aspect, what we have done to save money, and what we plan to do in the future. So, this is our story of how we ended up here. Now we've been married for almost 10 years, but back in I think August of 2020, we ended up finding a really nice house and buying it for about 299,000. So we got really lucky on that end because it was a very nice house. After our down payment, it was about 284,000 principal, and our interest rate was 2.99. I wish it was still that. But our mortgage payments were around 1841 a month, and it fluctuated a little bit over the years, but it was always under 2,000 a month. Combined income for us was about 100 to 115,000 a year before taxes. And with our car payment, utilities, groceries, all that monthly stuff, we weren't really able to save like we wanted to. So we were in a good spot, but not as much as we wanted to because we really wanted to buy land and build our own house. So even though we had a really nice house, we wanted to build our own and make it our own.
In early 2025, our neighbor, who they almost had the exact same floor plan as us, they went to sell their house for $650,000, which to us was just unbelievable. And I told my wife at the time that if they got that, we could sell and we could come out with a very decent profit. And so we did. We sat, we waited. Um, we had a few real estate agents give us opinions about what we needed to fix. So we took out a loan for about $25,000 to fix what needed to in the house and the landscape and everything like that. And all while, 7 months go by, and our neighbor dropped the price of the home. I think to $620,000, but they hired a professional real estate agent because our neighbor went to take the real estate test himself and became his own realtor. But they went with a more experienced one, and they ended up selling for like $638,000. And I told my wife, I came up with this idea of, for a while I had seen families on YouTube that sold everything and lived in a fifth wheel or an RV or travel trailer, what have you. And, they were able to save money because they didn't have any bills except, the basic amenities. But um, I finally convinced her to do that. And after we had got everything fixed, we put our house on the market. We asked for $600,000. We sold right at $600,000 because pretty much within a week, somebody wanted to buy our home. Uh, they came in almost with a cash offer, and they wanted it. They missed out on our neighbor's home, so they saw our home, and again, it was almost the exact same floor plan. So they wanted ours. They outbid everybody else. They paid exactly what we paid. We had to pay a little bit of closing costs, the real estate agent fees, mine and theirs, and they paid for everything else. Um, we walked away with about 307,000 dollars. But after the other things we had debt like that $25,000 loan I was mentioning, credit cards, car loans, we had a vacation property that we paid for, so that was almost $64,000. So I'm not good at math. My wife is. She's probably going to put something funny up on the video saying of what we actually walked away with. But if you're good at numbers, I'll let you figure that out. But we walked away with a good chunk of money. So what we did with that was we went to the nearest camping world to us. We started shopping, and we kind of liked one, didn't like others. And for this period, ladies and gentlemen, it's really, really good to go to a camping world or go to your RV, your nearest RV sales location, and walk inside of fifth wheels. Because my wife liked one that I thought she liked, and then I found out nope, she didn't like it, and now we're in this one that she absolutely loved. So that's a big thing that y'all need to do.
So after we sold everything, we ended up living with his parents, which is my in laws. while we figured out our RV situation. Because I think we also thought about doing like a tiny home, but with the county regulations, it just wasn't going to work out. So it took us a few months to find the right RV, and I think the one we settled on at first was 77,000 about, and then we had to hire an electrician to do our hookup, which was about 3,000, and then we also had to um, fix our fence to where it could open up big enough for a fifth wheel, so that was another like 900. And then my husband also had to get a truck to tow it. So I think our down payment was about 39,000. So that we did finance part of the truck. So we spent I think about 120,000 just to get all this stuff for what we wanted to do. So right now we're still living in the RV. We don't have a lot of bills. We're trying to save as much money as possible to hopefully buy some land soon. Of course, in this economy, maybe a little later than sooner, but we're still looking around. And I think so far at the end of 2025, our profit was about 120,000 after we spent money on the RV and the truck and stuff. So
And to piggyback off of what my wife is saying, because I imagine a few of you that are going to watch the video are going to say, well, they walked away with about $120,000. That's more than enough to do this, and buy land. Well, yes, in most circumstances, but in our circumstance, the idea that we're having is to buy a pretty decent sized chunk of land, maybe 15 acres, maybe more, and to build a home for us, and then my in-laws, which is her parents, want to build on our property, and then my parents want to build on that same property as well, so that if we have more children, they can grow up with both grandparents right there and things of that nature. So that kind of property, $120,000, not really going to buy. And again, we're trying to wait, save a bunch of money. We still have some family members that need to retire, so there's a time frame. Like, we're not in a rush to do it now, but one of the biggest hurdles is for my wife is that she doesn't want to move in one of the southern states that we live in. She doesn't like the cold. If she would, you know, become a little bit more lenient on that aspect, that 120 grand could buy a bunch of property somewhere else. But unfortunately, happy wife, happy life. So I have to sit here and calculate everything the best I can while she follows behind me and tells me everything's wrong that I do with numbers. But we make it work. But just so you know, that's where the plan is eventually going, is buying a chunk of property, three families living on it, and almost kind of like a compound, but not, you know. So that is where the plan and the future plan is.
So stick with us. We'll be making some more videos about our setup and what we're doing to save money. And we might try and do another finance update after about our first 6 months. Let us know if there's anything you guys have questions about, and we can make some more videos about that. Thanks for listening.